Hey everybody, and welcome back to BK's Bullets. Today we're going to be talking about Doomsday Clock number 7. Hey everybody, and welcome back to BK's Bullets. Today we're going to be talking Doomsday Clock number 7 of 12. Right here on my iPad from DC Comics. This is written by Jeff Johns, art by Gary Frank, as it has been for the last 6 issues. This is the sequel to the seminal Watchmen, written by Alan Moore and drawn by Dave Gibbons. And you may have seen the movie that released, almost 10 years ago. There's an HBO series that's going to use the concepts in Watchmen and twist them around and adapt them in a different way. That's coming, I think, next year. So this is DC using the Watchmen characters before the book goes out of print again, or something goes up with the contract, so that they can basically keep milking the money that they reap from reprinting Watchmen all the time. And you know what? That's their right to do with it. That's their contract that was written and everybody signed. Alan Moore's not happy with it. He's since, scrubbed himself of any Watchmen stuff before. Dave Gibbons is still proud of his work. I think, Alan Moore is still proud of it, but he's tired of talking about it. It's maybe the most painful thing that's happened to him in comics, so that's kind of why he doesn't like to talk about it anymore. Dave Gibbons, on the other hand, supports it, or seems to, or contractually does. Maybe he gets a check out of everything. I hope that he does. We had the Before Watchmen miniseries, a couple years ago that, kind of did this thing, probably when the last time the rights were about to expire, whatever this contract has in it that we don't know. So this is the Watchmen characters entering the DC universe, and it was originally billed before the first issue came out as Dr. Manhattan, the all-powerful Superman Ubermensch of the Watchmen universe. He's basically a blue naked guy who can do anything that he wants to, like God, versus Superman. We didn't know why, we didn't know how, we still don't know why, we still don't know how, but we are 7 issues into this 12-issue storyline, and it just finally feels like something happens, or we know that something's going to happen. For the last 6 issues, it's been a very, very slow read, very slow drag. For the original Watchmen, Dave Gibbons he used the 9-panel grid on every single page. And then he used that grid to build suspense. So, not every page was 9 panels. Sometimes it was less. Sometimes it was 1 page. Sometimes it was 2 pages. But he stuck to that grid in such a way that if you wanted to use 2 panels together, that was that. If you wanted to use a whole top row as 1 panel, that was that. And that was used to convey importance of the said panels. So if you got a half page, 2/3 page spread in Watchmen, that was a really important panel, and you felt the impact of that when you read it, because every other panel was, 1/9 of a page. So Dave Gibbons has been doing the same thing in this book as a tribute to Watchmen. That's one of the things it's famous for. And he does a pretty good job. I cannot complain about Dave Gibbons. Here's an example of the 9-panel grid right there, and then here's a splash on top of the bottom 3 panels. So this is meant to convey something, even though basically it's just an ass shot at this moment of Saturn Girl. So it feels kind of wasted. But the basic story of this is that you have Adrian Veidt coming into the DC universe and bringing in a new Rorschach and some new villains from the Watchmen universe that had never really been introduced or mentioned before, made up out of whole cloth, that we're supposed to care about, that are kind of crazy. A Joker and Harley, reverse mirror, funhouse mirror version of, almost. And then they're coming into contact with Batman at this point, and the Comedian is alive, we find out, and the Joker and some villains they interacted with in the last issue of DC Villains. But that's about it that's happened in 6 issues. So finally, in issue number 7, we get the Blue Man himself, Dr. Manhattan, naked man right there. And actually, this is not 9 panels. This doesn't even go with that. So in some times, Dave Gibbons does break this 9-panel rule that was so strictly adhered to in Watchmen. That's not even a third down here. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 panels. So this is the main guy we've been looking for in the last 6 issues, and only in the 7th issue does he ever speak. We ever see him? And that's on, out of 30 pages, that's on page 20 almost. So 10 pages later, the issue ends, and a lot of the times he's not really saying anything. So this is another book that I'm buying, I feel, out of, I don't know, like I feel like I'm supposed to, as a comic fan, as a DC fan, this is supposed to be a really big thing. It's going to be huge in their history and blah, blah, blah. It's got a superstar team behind it. I'm supposed to support it. I feel like I'm buying it out of obligation, but anytime it comes out, and it used to be monthly and now it's bi-monthly, so it's going to take 18 months for us to get all 12 issues. I'm getting more frustrated as this book goes on because it feels like nothing's happening. At least in Watchmen, when you read an issue, there's enough self-contained story that you get a little bit of what's going on, even though the bigger picture doesn't come into play at the very end. Whereas this 12-issue story arc, there's certain things that are happening, but there's no third act. There's no first, first, middle, and third acts to these single issues. Whereas like the Watchmen issues, there was I remember the funeral issue for the comedian. There was a beginning, middle, and end of that issue, and it was like bookmarked by the beginning, middle, and end of his funeral. And you had flashbacks with other characters and their interactions with them. And it was great. And there's nothing like that so far in this Doomsday Clock series. So, is it Jeff Johns and Dave Gibbons aping Alan Moore and, not even Dave Gibbons, I'm getting the artist wrong. Is it the new guys aping the old guys for money? Absolutely. Does it reek of that? Sometimes. Has it paid off yet? Absolutely not. So, that's my verdict on Doomsday Clock, number 7. And we'll probably check back in at the end after issue 12 wraps up and see what's going on from there. But thank you guys for watching so much. Let me know if you're enjoying Doomsday Clock, what your thoughts are. Please let me know down below in the comments. Like, comment, rate, subscribe, all that stuff. And I will see you guys in the funny pages.